In news from Jamaica, by the next financial year, which begins on April 1, the government will be implementing its new pension system for public sector employees. The new plan will see 5% of public servant salaries going towards their pension. While 5% may seem a reasonable figure to save towards life after the working age, the government's proposal is not being taken lightly. At least one public sector grouping has labeled the proposal as dangerous and unaffordable, given that public sector workers only recently agreed to a 7% salary increase after 4 years of a wage freeze. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Norman Allen, told the Jamaica Gleaner that teachers are not against contributing to their pensions, they're just unable to afford it. However, President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, O'Neill Grant, says government workers are already contributing 4% of their salaries to their pension, and 5% would not make much of a difference. This is in an attempt to discredit reports which suggests that government workers are opposed to contributing to their own pension.
Civil servants who are appointed are paying 4% of their salaries into a pension fund. All the staff in the executive agencies are paying at least 5%, some have the option of paying more. And there are other statutory organizations where the staff are paying into a pension fund. So there is this fallacy that persists that public sector workers are not contributing when in fact there are pension funds that are administered at the individual agency level, and some that are administered at the government of Jamaica level through the Accountant General's Department and the Ministry of Finance. So we are always at loss when people say that public sector workers don't want to contribute. What the proposed legislation is going to do is not to cause us to contribute. Some entities, I must add that some sector workers do not contribute now, and they are going to be asked to contribute. Some contribute less than 5%, and they are going to be asked to contribute 5% now. So the adjustment is going to have to be made, but none of those groups have indicated that they are unwilling to make a contribution to their pension. What they are indicating is that they would love for certain things to be in the pension law that will make it fair to the worker, that at the end of the day, the pension is what we see as a deferred income, what the government cannot pay us as salaries they put aside for pension for us when we are no longer working. That's basically what we view it as. And if it is a benefit for the worker, then the worker must have some say in how it is designed and administered.
But Mr. Grant does concede that there are some issues that the umbrella union group has with the government's proposal.
Some aspects of it treats the whole pension thing as an avenue to raise revenue for the government. Some aspects of it treat it as a means of trying to keep people in the labor force for longer than they wish to. Some persons want to retire early, and it is actually going to be penalizing them for retiring early. We are also looking at the period of vesting. We're looking nationally, the savings rate of the country, and we would love vesting periods to be standardized across the public sector at 5 years instead of the 10 years that is being proposed in the legislation, because we see where it can allow for a seamless movement of persons across ministries, departments, and agencies without persons having to retire from one agency to go to another because of the separate legal arrangements that govern them, in particular those regarding pension. We want to ensure that the persons are safe for 9 years and 11 months in a pension scheme, but because they are not vested, at 9 years and 11 months, that person can take that 9 years and 11 months savings and go with them. And we're saying to the government that doesn't make sense to the pension fund where persons can stay for that long and then withdraw their savings from the fund, which will then weaken the fund, and the impact of the fund can be quite devastating if a lot of persons who we know are nomadic in their employment history, they move from place to place after a 5-year stay or so.
He says the withdrawal of funds from those persons can be detrimental to the survival of the fund. He also notes that the JCSA has taken issue with the government having expressed its intention not to match its contribution to the pension fund at the same 5% the workers have been asked to contribute.
If the fund is to be robust and sustainable, then both the employer and the employee needs to contribute to the same quantum of 5% into the fund and start doing so from day one. We also have a challenge with the start date. We think that some amount of work should have started on the administrative side of the scheme, how the trust fund is going to be established and set up. We have not seen or heard anything being done or planned in anticipation of April 1 for the establishment of a trustee arrangement for the pension scheme. And what are the internal arrangements being made at the Accountant General's Department for the treatment of the GOJ pension scheme come April 1. for it to be a separate fund and not part of the consolidated fund. We are fearful that just as though we are now paying 4% into the consolidated fund, that we might be in a situation where we are going to be paying 5% into the consolidated fund. And the government will not have set up enough mechanisms to track and monitor the contribution of the workers into this fund, and then it becomes another payment by public sector workers into the consol fund to be used in any way that the government sees fit if there is no trustee